oh my God, it's you. Don't do that. You don't sneak up on people like that. I was practicing. All right, enough of the silliness. Back recording something else. I finally got me some sleep, so I'm a little bit more coherent. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I've actually wanted to talk about for quite some time. Every time I keep thinking about putting this video up, something would get in the way, like work or other ideas and stuff. But I bumped into a website called The Blind Atheist Chick, or not a website, a channel. She's the one running the channel. Through Think More Pink site, I found her name and I went on there, and some good stuff. Check it out if you can. I'll put up a link right over there. She had a video on there which I think is pretty important, worth checking out. I'll probably put a link on there too on it, called I Don't Know, and it's basically on it's a response to another Christian video guy. He's since put his video down. It's no longer up, but it was on how atheists don't have the answer for everything and therefore their views are invalid or whatever, which is BS. And she explains it really well, so I don't have to go into it. But it brings back into the subject that I wanted to talk about for some time, which I kind of hinted at in an older vid, but I'm going to discuss it at length now. And it's on the necessity for answers. Personally, I think answers are overrated. Yes, they are. Answers are overrated. Contrary to what you may think, answers tend to block progress rather than further it. Questions are more important. Questions are a lot more useful than answers. See, questions are what is the spark. Questions are the vehicle of curiosity. And as you know, curiosity is what leads to knowledge and learning. Because when you're curious about something, you want to go find out about it. And that's when you start asking the questions. And then these questions is what drive you, or drive you to see others, and you ask that question. And if you ask somebody in a knowledgeable field, it might even spark them to go, that's a good question. Let's find out the answer. Now, the answer, of course, is the ends to the means. Finding out what it is you want to find out about. Once you got the answer, the progress stops. That not necessarily makes answers bad, but answers start becoming troublesome when you come upon an answer that doesn't fully answer that question. It doesn't fully satisfy it, but yet you just happen to stick, that's the perfect answer, let's stick with it, well, let's believe that. And it's not true, or at least it doesn't point you to the truth, because the answer itself isn't the truth anyway. What it points to is. Answers tend to block further understanding. It's so easy to jump to conclusions and go, that's the answer, that's the absolute truth, when there really is no such thing. I mean, think about certain things that you believe and take for granted. Certain things are obvious. What's 2 plus 2? 4. There's your answer. Okay, you got that right there. Of course, some quantum physics guy might later on come and say, well, there might be some chances where 2 plus 2 isn't equal 4. I'm not into quantum science, so that's probably wrong, but hey, just to give you an idea of how superfluous our knowledge is. Believe it or not, a lot of things that you happen to believe are set in stone aren't. And a lot of things that we used to believe are set in stone aren't. Science is finding this out all the time. Religious people always tend to point to science as something that believes it has the absolute answers. They accuse it of that because religion happens to believe it has the absolute answers, and they need somebody else to point the finger to on that, especially since science has always proven them wrong. But the weird thing about science is, except for a few propaganda machine type people, and you know who they are, unlike religious people, scientists don't walk around thinking that they know the ultimate truth to everything. Because if you notice, every time they come up with an answer to something, they call it a theory. And they always say that, hey, somebody might later on come around and prove this isn't true. So we got to be ready for that so we can further our knowledge. Religion doesn't do that. Politics doesn't do that. Any ism that you happen to focus yourself to doesn't do that. Isms are more concerned with finding some ultimate answer that everybody's got to follow. And then they throw away the question once they think they've got that answer, because people who ask questions tend to be annoying, especially the people who want to shove answers down your throat. Answers can be very dangerous. In fact, we love answers anyway. They may be dangerous, but we love them because they stop the mind from gnawing at you to constantly keep asking the question, well, what about this? What about that? Think about the kid who's always asking you, but why? Why? You want to shut the kid up because the questions are annoying. But the only reason why the questions are annoying is because it forces us to continue to think. And thinking, well, it takes a lot of effort, especially in these days and times when we're used to just walking around on autopilot and not using this much. We even have an entire philosophy now that we take as an accepted truth about the power of answers. Occam's razor. I'm sure you've heard of it. Everybody loves Occam's razor. You know, the most simplest explanation is usually the correct one. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Occam's razor is overrated. The simplest answer usually isn't the correct one. For example, think of primitive man looking at the sun in the air and the sky. The sun goes around the earth. That's what it looks like. That's the easiest thing to believe. I mean, think about it. Which is the easiest thing to believe? That the sun goes around the earth, or that the sun is stationary and the earth goes around the sun because of gravitational forces? It takes a lot more explanation to show the truth. But you can tell a lie in just one sentence. Occam's razor is overrated. Think about it. Answers, ultimate truths, one answer sentences, simple explanations. This is the way it is. That's the reason why it is. With very little explanation, bullshit. Questions lead to wisdom, not answers. Yes, an answer can point you to the truth, but that's all it can do. Point you to it. You got to figure it out on your own. And when you finally do figure out the truth, you find that you can't exactly put it into words. And you tend to, as you're explaining it, see, once you have to explain something, you're dumping sentence on top of sentence on top of sentences, which could be misleading. But notice they're not simple answers. And they tend to lead to more questions, which of course leads to more further understanding and more learning. Questions are a lot more useful. Anytime you bump into somebody who gets sick of your questions or doesn't want you questioning certain things about their isms, it's just you're dealing with a dulled mind. Or worse, you're dealing with somebody who wants your mind to be dulled. Stop asking questions! But that's what leads to wisdom. That's what leads to further understanding. That's what research is all about. Research is nothing but sophisticated questions. Finding out answers which leads them to more questions. So, I know I'm probably going to get some feedback on this, possibly some negative, talking about, well, we need answers to survive and all this, or answers are important because it finally satisfies our curiosity. And that is true, but it isn't the end-all to be-all. And answers should lead you to another question. I know a lot of people get annoyed with, man, their answers just lead to more questions. But that's what learning is all about. No human being will ever be able to take the full span of the universe of knowledge. Taoism has an interesting statement on that. It says knowledge is infinite. Human mind isn't. Humanity isn't. To seek after something that is infinite through finite means, dangerous task. It's an interesting statement. This was said thousands of years ago by people who knew the importance of questions. They also knew the importance of following after something with a finite means, because if you have a limited lifespan, or if you have a limited intellect, or a limited sense of understanding, as all of us humans get in some form or another, it gets very tempting to instantly go for the quick and easy answer rather than furthering your understanding with a deep question, which will continue to further your knowledge because you're going to keep asking, keep meditate on it, and find out some new insight, which leads you to another thing to ask, which leads to more insights. So finally, you notice the wisest person is always saying, I don't know anything. There's wisdom in that because they're admitting that they can't fully understand the scope of knowledge that's out there. But they're smart enough to ask questions because the person who doesn't know is willing to ask the question. The person who thinks they have the answer will never learn anything. And I'm sure we know plenty of people like that. They think they got all the answers just because somebody else passed it to them, or simply because they don't want to think. Questions are a lot more useful. Lean more toward questions than answers. You'll find that the scope of understanding just widens that much more. Okay, that's my public service message for today. Have a good one, guys.